Learning objectives are, as usual, a contract between you and me. I commit to transfer, to share the knowledge on these points, 6 points, with you. You have a look on them, and then at the end of this lecture, you evaluate, you consider if these points are transmitted to your best knowledge. Please have a look on them. As usual in the structure of this module, we have 5, sometimes 6 basic chapters. The last 2 chapters are mainly for checking if all concepts are correctly understood by you, dear learners. And the very last chapter is about new resources for continuing, extending, or deepening concepts and theories covered in this lecture. The first chapter is very important because this is the foundation of understanding the reasoning of existence of the concept of governance. What is governance? Normally, I have a long discussion with my students when I can see them, when we can interact. We can do that probably on distance learning too, but this is not the basic problem because we can discuss all different things on distance learning. The problem is, if we can call it a problem, your very limited time, and we should give more time for your workshop to finish and to progress on your individual project, because next week you should on a Monday 15 submit your individual project. So we should put more time on that. But have a look on this and see if you have some ideas about what is governance in your opinion, because the topic is about governance. In order to understand the notion, the concept of governance, we should get back to the origin of modern organization. There is a theory, very important, called principal-agent relationship or agency theory. Do understand that in this jargon, by principal, we understand the owner of the firm. An agent is the director, the manager, who are hired by the owner to manage the company. So principal, owner, agent is the manager. At the very first, a traditional firm was owned and managed by the same individual. An individual creates a firm and manages the firms. But when the firm develop, when they become important, when they become bigger, when they become transnational, in that case, the same individual cannot manage all the company. Sometimes because he does not have the knowledge with all new technologies, techniques, competition, cross-border regulations, he does not have the initial owner does not have the knowledge of managing it, or because he does not have time when it's very big. So he hires or she hires managers to manage the company or co-manage the company or manage part of the company for the account of the owner. Let's call the owner principal here, shareholder, who hires agents for managing operations, and in the best case, this is the objective, to maximize profits. And you have agent, manager, who is supposed to know more about operations, management, strategizing, and so on. However, there is a big question, and that was the very beginning of governance. Who knows if the agents, if the hired managers serve really the interest of owners to maximize profits in ethical ways, by all means. Because they might sometimes maximize their own interests. For example, I give you very simple examples. It might be much bigger than that. For example, choosing a partner which is not the most efficient partner, but is a friend of the manager. Moving the headquarters to an area which is very pleasant, which is more expensive, because the manager feels better in good luxury offices. But is this the interest of the stockholder, the shareholder, the owner? This is the beginning, the question which gave birth to the concept of governance. Because we needed somebody to have a look on this, to make sure that the managers are behaving in the interest of the owners. So let's have a look on the concept of governance in three scenes. Number one, what I told you, those questions, that was written by Burl and Means in a book that I give you the reference at the end of this course in 1932. At that period of time, the American companies were getting bigger, more important, and even going international, even that, they can go to other states. America is a big continent. So the owners needed managers. And these two authors, Beryl and Means, they ask the following questions. Do managers of US corporations, the largest one, operate in the interest of owners? That was the beginning. Later, about 40 years later, two scholars, two academic researchers, Jensen and Meckling, they used the words that we employ now, principal agency. Agency costs is the price of hiring and monitoring managers who are supposed to manage the company for the interest of the owners. So agency costs arise when there is a separation between owning a company and running a company. There are a lot of relationships between employees, partners, owners, managers, and so on. And the question is how to manage all that in the interest of the owners. Because a manager might employ and manage the relations with the employed in his own interest rather than interest of the owners. So there is a need for monitoring those managers to make sure that they behave in the interest of the stockholders, of the owners. So the definition we give for defining governance is that this is a third-party corpus with some values and power to monitor organizations to make sure that agents behave and strategize in the best interest of the owners. The board of governance does not manage, but watches the managers. In a sense, I always use this word, is in a sense, if you wish, is the Senate, they are senators probably of a company. This one, I love this one very much. This is the book of, I have talked about on your left, about Burl and Means. They have started the notion of governance. And then you have other books about that period of time, principal and agents. You know that by principal and agent, we mean owners and directors. These are also concepts and theories. I have put that one for you. This one is very important. The Visible Hand of Chandler is a very important book in 1977. He says he puts emphasis on the importance of managers in companies, that they run the companies very often instead of the owners of those companies. So one more time, you see here the importance of the agents for the companies and the role they have. And one more time, the same question, do these managers manage the company in the interest of the owners? So, managers not only manage the employed partners, collaborators, but also an ecosystem. What is an ecosystem? Naturally, an ecosystem is a community of matter and energy within an environment. What is an organization's ecosystem? Is a network of connected actors within the company, out of the company. These actors can influence, can impact the survival and strategy of the company. different types of actors. Stakeholders, they have some interest in the company. They might be not client, not partner, not suppliers, but for example, a coffee shop in the area of your firm. They have interest in your company because your employees go to the coffee shop for having a coffee. This is suddenly a huge market for them. They could be partners, they could be suppliers, all things that you are seeing here. The important point that you should remember is that is not only the important point, the actors who have transactions with the firm. Some of the stakeholders in the ecosystem of a firm are those who do not transact with the firm but have impact on the firm. For example, they might bother the operations of the firm for the ecological concerns, for the gender questions, for many different things that you can consider. So the governance and ecosystem, they go together. Okay, do managers take into account the entities in the ecosystem? They cannot manage it directly because they are not hired by the company. However, they are very important for the company because we said they are actors who have impact on the strategy of the company. So the governance should take care, should monitor, should have a look on the way the managers relate to those actors. Please have a look on this and see what is your reaction. You are rather on the left or you are rather on the right. It's very interesting. Please have a look on it and try to have some ideas. There is no definite good or bad answers, but is important for understanding the theory that I present right after. For example, take the last line. There are two statements. Which one do you agree with? One statement is the only group that has a moral claim on the corporation is the people who own shares of the stock. In other words, the owners. Another statement says many groups have a moral claim on the corporation because it has the potential to harm or benefit them. You understand the difference between this and that. These questions, you please answer for yourself to them, because based on your answers about a stakeholder view, this is the funding paper by Freeman and Reed, and this is their book. These are the basic books, elements, theoretical about the stakeholder capitalism. And Klaus Schwab is the founder of Davos Forum, World Economic Forum. You know, this is one of the most important forum in the world. Every year, the most important figures, political figures, business figures, intellectual figures, they get together in Davos, which is a village in Switzerland, and they talk about different issues. So many call them the gathering of powerful people, of rich people, of capitalist people. You call them whatever you want, but the president of this forum has written a book about stakeholder capitalism. So this is an understanding of this. You might agree with one of these two thinkers. On your left, you have the great Milton Friedman, and on your right, you have Edward Freeman. Friedman, Freeman, not to be confused. Milton Friedman has rather a stockholder, the owner view. A company should operate in the benefits of the owner. Freeman view is the view of stakeholder, is that the company might belong to its owners, okay, but the operations of the company benefit or harm other people, a lot of other people. I'm so sorry. So you have these two views. For example, the principle for Milton Friedman is maximizing profits for the shareholders within the law and with no fraudulent means. Because Friedman thinks if a company makes money, it hires people, people have salary, income, they enjoy, they can send their children to schools, they can have a roof, they are better off. So the only thing a company should do is to make money. And because a company needs employees, the employees benefit with their salary and they spend that salary in the best of their interests. Freeman does not agree. He says maximizing profits does not pay for the harms the operations of a company cause, like for example smog, like for example traffic jam, poorly educated workers, and so on. So profit is not the only thing that a company should do. Who has some claims on the company? For Friedman is only the owners. The owners own it. They have created. They could have invested their money somewhere else. They have decided to manufacture, produce. Freeman says, wait a minute. A company is composed of humans. So those humans who work in a company are also claimant and not only the owner. Managers for Friedman, stockholder view. They are hired for the benefit and for maximizing profits. So they are legally and morally held to do so. The stakeholder view is different and says they have duties, obligations toward every human being influenced by the functioning of the company. Ethics and control. Friedman says, let it be. In the freedom, people, clients, employees, partners, judge very well if a company is fraudulent, is behaving bad. So they don't buy, they don't work, and the company goes bankrupt. In other words, for Friedman, in order a company works correctly and makes money, its reputation is very important. And so if even company is not by virtue doing well, by its own economic interests tries to be correct and good with good behavior. Freeman does not agree. Says a corporation has the potential to harm. So state should be there to regulate. So what about social responsibility? For Freeman, for Friedman, social responsibility of a company is to making profit for the reason I told you. I make profit, I hire, so people have a salary, income, and they enjoy their income as they wish. I'm done. That's it. I give products to clients. If they buy, it means that they need it. And I give salary to employees who manufacture it, and they do with their salary whatever they want. What do you expect me to do more? Freeman says, wait a minute, I should make sure that the benefits a firm is making is more than the costs, the harms that the same firm cause to the society. Let's get back to Friedman. Friedman says, look, you ask a company to do good things, but this is not a specialty of a company. Charity is not my expertise as a company. I manufacture smartphones. I manufacture chips. I'm a specialist in P2P platforms between owners of a home and people who seek for a room. I'm not a specialist in charity. Freeman says, you have duty to support those who have a stake in your firm. Finally, Friedman says, firms pay taxes. They should not decide about how to spend those taxes, because a government who is selected by the people democratically is legitimate to spend those taxes, because this is a government elected by people. So the government, at least for the term of its election, can legitimately spend those taxes. If a company spends that money, it's circumventing democracy. Freeman say a firm should propose benefits to the partners and community right away. So people, that's it. Both of them, they talk about governance. What is your view? Governance, you cannot escape from it. Is necessarily for a company, a firm. But you can decide that you want to have your governance and expect your managers behave in the stockholder view or in the stakeholder view. I don't hide that I respect a lot Mr. Freeman, but I rather agree with the great Milton Friedman. But this is, you don't have to agree with me. You have to know these two theories and concepts. Then you make your own mind. So that's why now there is a new trend, very important, about a stakeholder capitalism or governance. It's that the company should consider its ecosystem for encouraging good behaviors to create values for all different stakeholders and avoid bad actions. Stakeholders are within the company or out of the company. So you see here some types of stakeholders. You know them, I don't need to explain them. Only communities, members of a community, they might not be employee of the company or customer of the company or the supplier of the company or the trade partner of the company. However, they might be stakeholders. They say, I live in your neighborhood, so the traffic jam in the morning your employees make in my neighborhood to get into your company is harmful for me. And the same employees who want to have lunch and come to my neighborhood and looking for a restaurant, they give business to other small businesses, and this is good for my neighborhood. So you see, even if they don't trade directly with the company, they are stakeholders with the company. Now, the new concept of stakeholder capitalism says a company should think of these stakeholders too. I do not disagree with this view. It might be strange for you. How come that I agree rather with Mr. Friedman and I'm not against the stakeholder capitalism? The reason is the following. I think Friedman is right. He convinces me more than Mr. Freeman. However, a society is a society. If a company does not take into account what the stakeholders say, rationally the company is not at fault, but the stakeholders react badly, and this is not good for the reputation of the company. I hope you understand. By reason, I agree with Mr. Friedman. By pragmatism, I do understand what Mr. Freeman says. People, please have a look on this movie, which is a very good movie. I cannot show it now, but you will understand a lot out of this one. It is a good one. We are done with the first chapter. We go to the second chapter to see more about ecosystem and governance in the P2P platform economy. If you want to have a picture of an ecosystem of a P2P platform, let's consider a platform which lends money. In other words, a platform which connect people who are wanting to borrow money and people who have money and accept to lend with a convenient interest. If you see the ecosystem here, you have different actors, stakeholders involved in it. For example, on your left, you see the internal system. You see the managers of the platform. Also people who take care of technology, and mainly the people who analyze the credit scoring of those who want to borrow money. There is somebody who wants to borrow on the top, in the middle. There is somebody who accepts to lend money on the bottom, in the middle. And you have the banking system, you have the regulations, you have all other actors that we have talked about in the first chapter. In other words, in an application of P2P platforms, you have contact to all these different ecosystems and different actors. If the explanation is not very clear, let me go to this one. This is another example of P2P activities. It's highly interesting. The P2P platform is called CrowdMed. This is about medical things. People can go to the platform because they are patient, because they are sick, they are ill, they suffer from a disease, or they might have a question about a disease because of a relative or because they are doctors and so on. They put the case here, and many different people get in it, and they give advice, they discuss, they share their experience, their knowledge, their experience as patient, their experience as medical aid, and so on. And look, these are all these different ecosystems that you can consider. You have the platform here with the specialist in the platform, and you have all different P2P people. They can be patients, they can be doctors, but they can be also public authorities. They can be to watch and to learn and to share. And you have medical corpus and all these different things that you can consider. You see this one more an ecosystem that you might see here. This is an ecosystem, again, which is structured. This is a suggestion. They say, okay, ecosystem is composed of many different actors. Let's put some structure in it, some organization in it. Let's say two things. How influential can a stakeholder be? Second criteria factor is that how much is the stakeholder actor interesting for the platform? Based on that, you have, for example, here, stakeholders who have big impact on the platform and who presents an interest to the platform. So managing them is very, very important. This relation is very important. But if they don't have any impact and they don't represent any interest to the platform, so they are here. So less investment. Here, they have big influence. We're going to see the case right now. But they are not that much interesting because they do not bring leads or sales to the platform. Here, they are not very influential, but they are interesting for the company, for the platform, probably because they buy, or probably because they will buy, they constitute an emerging market. Okay, based on that, let's see this one. This is, for example, that was a very big campaign of people who went against Nike, and Nike also answered to it positively to make a good relationship with one, a good governance. Why? But they were not necessarily suppliers or buyers of Nike, but there was a protest against Nike. So they tried to manage with these people who have been very influential, but financially, commercially, not interesting for Nike as a company, but very influential. And they tried to manage like this. If we go here on this one, that was about Nestle. And Nestle was under attack with a lot of people who were not suppliers, who were not clients, who were not employees of Nestle, but they were influential, they were advocates, they were activists who criticized the palm oil exploitation by Nestle. So Nestle could not ignore it because that was a big influence in their ecosystem. They were not clients, but they could cause a very bad reputation for Nestle, and in food industry, reputation is very important. So Nestle campaigned and explained on all different social media to manage this specific case, as you can see. Now there is a theory important by Clarkson, who says any ecosystem can be divided, structured, not as we have seen in two dimensions, by two dimensions, but in three different levels. First is internal, individual level, is a relationship with all people who work within the platform. The number two is organizational, is now is the entity is the organization, and the relation of this organization, of this platform, with all other partners as organizations too. You see, the first level is how the individual collaborate and work and relate to each other within a platform or within an organization. In the level two is how that organization as an economic entity relates to other economic entity. And then the third level is social, is the relation between the firm and the society, as you can see. So this is a model. I have also suggested a model. My model is for P2P platforms. It's very specific. So at the very first, I say this is internal. All people who work within the platform. You have stockholders, you have managers, you have employees, you have all people who work with it. Right after, you have the two basic markets, P2P, because a platform connects these two sets of clients together. This one is very important and requires a devoted and reliable governance to them. So I put them at the second level. The third level is the functional partners of the platform. is what you have seen as organizational level in the previous slide. I call them functional partners because I want to put emphasis on the actors of the ecosystem. Okay, they are not employed by the platform, but their job and their operations are vital, crucial for the functioning of the platform. For example, they provide a payment system, delivery system. They provide all that and is highly important. Otherwise, a company cannot work. For example, a company crowdfunding, as we have seen, needs to work, partner with a financial institution for receiving and delivering money. And finally, I suggest a fourth level. This is social and non-business. They are not related to the platform because of business and commercial and financial transactions. They are related to because they are socially stakeholders. They are socially activists. They are socially concerned about the functioning of a company. Okay, I have many different examples to talk about this one, and you have seen examples of Nike and example of Nestle. They are not commercially, financially related to a company, but they have a share of voice. Please have a look, and here you see the explanation. I hope it's clear. I pause a while so that you understand it better, because this one is very important. It is important because normally in a class, we work on these different levels and we take platform, and this is what you take for your individual project, and you work on this one. Because for each retake, you have two platforms to work on, and this is the model. You should see the different models, different steps on it. I just show it with you. We do not have time to work on it on this virtual class, but you should understand how it works. For example, on online accommodation like Airbnb, but this is not Airbnb, is homestay. I ask the question, look at the 4 different levels of governance of a P2P platform and tell me at what level they are. Well, by all means, I tell you, this is our leadership, they are managers. So is in the very first level, individuals within the platform. If you go for this one, is again an accommodation platform, but this is Home Link. It's very confusing for people when they look at it. I say, well, at what level it is? They say the first level. They are funders, but they are not at this first level. They are at the second level. Yes, they have funded, but they have funded at the same time they exchange homes with each other. So you see, this one is the second level, is the 2 basic markets. The same here, founders and families is the same. They are at the same time in the first and in the second level. Okay, I hope it's clear for you what is the component of governance in a P2P platform business model. Now we go to the third chapter to see how AI, artificial intelligence, can impact the component of governance in a P2P platform. Now, in analyzing the impact of artificial intelligence, mainly you should consider two different things. One is that there are regulations for using AI or any other digital technologies, but artificial intelligence in particular is highly regulated because it can go directly to the private lives of people, and the regulator is very conscious about it. But what we are talking about is how we regulate or govern or manage or use artificial intelligence and digital technologies in the private life of a company. Okay, so please distinguish between these two. What we are talking about is on your right, private and societal monitoring of AI, IT in general. Okay, so is how do we govern about this one? Is private governance of your company. In other words, let me put that in this way. There is a governance of AI, of digital technologies in society that everybody should respect it. This is more or less the same for all different companies. In this course, we don't talk about that one. What we talk about is the use of AI by companies, by the platform companies that we talk about, and how do they govern, how do they, the governance of using AI and digital technologies in their management, in their ecosystem. And now you know about that one. This is what we talk about as this one. Okay, the governance, and that we have already studied highly. And we know that this use is very important because at the same time, there are two different things to consider. Once AI is very, very efficient in doing the business of P2P platforms, because what you need, after all, in a P2P platform is to do the best match between the two sets of customers you are having. And with machine learning, with artificial intelligence, you can do much more efficient and much faster, because you can get data about the two sets of clients, you can process them, and then you can do the right match. So it's highly important in the business model of P2P activities. Normally at that period of the course, I do this with my student, saying that how we can manage it, how we can do it, and but unfortunately I cannot do that with you. Okay, dear students, we are about the end of this session almost, and I would like to do a self-evaluation about the basic concepts and theories that we have studied today. I would like to know if you have understood the basic concepts and theories about the fourth element of a P2P business model. The fourth element component is governance. So these are the basic concepts that I hope you have understood. I would be more than happy to answer to your questions about any of them if needed. I have put more resources for you if you want to continue. Let me start with, I have put more elements for you if you want to continue on this. I do not develop, but it's very easy to read them. You consider them anytime you wish. The important thing, and this is Freeman who says that, is very important, is that stakeholder capitalism is not anti-capitalistic. It means that they are not against market-based economy, but they do have their understanding of market-based economy. So do not think that this is a radical socialism, this is communism, this is go out of the market economy at all. They have another understanding. You might agree or not, but they are still in the sphere of capitalism and market-based economy. I have put many different books and articles if you want to continue on them. This is a very rich topic that you can continue on this one. These are also when we can rely more on market or less on market. Because we have talked about ecosystems, this is a very important theory, actor network theory, that you should know. Governance, here I continue with different elements of it. If you want to continue on governance, why is important? This is if you want to continue on it. And one more time, I have put many different references if you want to continue. So you have everything, people, that allow you to continue this very interesting discussion. I thank you very much for your patience, for your attention. I've had a good experience teaching these materials with you, and now all I wish is a big prosperity and development for each of you. Thank you.